the harvest. The unseen tremor. In the year 2053, Earth shimmered with a polished serenity that felt oddly hollow. Cities glowed with holographic spires, their streets humming with autonomous drones and tranquil citizens. Global councils heralded a world free of hunger, disease, or strife, a utopia forged by relentless progress. Yet Dr. Elena Carter, a 28-year-old biologist with a mind honed for precision, couldn't shake a quiet unease. It wasn't a single discovery that troubled her, but a persistent, wordless sense that something beneath the surface was off. Elena's lab in Seattle was a sterile fortress, its walls alive with the soft hum of gene sequencers and quantum processors. For 18 months, she led a global initiative to map human genetic diversity, a project meant to celebrate humanity's resilience. But the data revealed something unsettling. Thousands of DNA samples drawn from every continent showed an eerie consistency. Genes for strength, immunity, cognitive clarity, and emotional stability were refined in ways that seemed to defy the messy chaos of evolution. The patterns were too precise, too uniform.
Marcus, take a look at this,
she said one evening, her voice taut as she gestured to her terminal. Dr. Marcus Lee, her colleague and a geneticist with a talent for spotting hidden patterns, leaned over her shoulder. His dark eyes scanned the glowing data, his usual easy grin fading.
That's strange,
he said, chewing his pen's cap.
No population should be this consistent. It's like the data's been smoothed out. But how?
I don't know.
Helena admitted, her fingers hovering over the keyboard as she saved the results.
I've run the analysis 5 times. It's not a glitch.
Marcus straightened, his brow furrowed.
Could be a new mutation pattern we haven't seen before. Or maybe the sampling's skewed.
Elena shook her head, her unease deepening.
It's every sample, Marcus. Thousands. Something's not right.
That night, she stood at her apartment window, the city's neon haze casting jagged shadows across her face. The anomaly gnawed at her, a puzzle with no edges. The stars above seemed distant, their silence heavy. Sleep escaped her, replaced by a creeping dread that clung like fog. Over the next few days, Elena dug deeper, her curiosity bordering on obsession. She noticed subtle irregularities in the DNA, markers that didn't align with the known genetic drift, like faint echoes of something artificial. They were too consistent to be random, too widespread to be isolated. She shared her findings with Marcus in the lab's break room, the hum of a coffee machine masking their low voices.
These markers,
she said, sliding her tablet across the table.
They're in every sample, but they don't match any natural variants. It's like something's been added, something we don't understand.
Marcus frowned, tracing a finger over the screen.
This is beyond current tech. If it's not natural, then what? A global contamination? Some kind of interference?
Elena didn't answer. The word interference lingered, cold and sharp, stirring an unease she couldn't name. The vanishing. The genetic irregularities were just the start. Elena's search for answers led her to public health archives, where she uncovered a chilling pattern buried in forgotten records. Thousands of missing persons cases spanned decades, their details dismissed as clerical errors or unresolved mysteries. The stories followed a haunting rhythm. People vanished, sometimes for days, sometimes months, only to reappear with no memory of their absence. Stranger still, they returned changed. Chronic illnesses dissolved. Physical frailties vanished. Mental struggles evaporated, replaced by an eerie vitality that seemed almost unnatural. Elena compiled the data in secret, encrypting her files to evade prying eyes. She showed Marcus the evidence one morning, her voice low as they stood in a quiet corner of the lab.
This isn't random,
she said, scrolling through her tablet.
Leela Chen, 27, multiple sclerosis, gone 3 weeks, comes back running marathons. James Holt, 45, PTSD, missing a month, returns calm as a monk. Their medical scans show perfect organ function, enhanced muscle density, even neural efficiency. This isn't healing, Marcus. It's something else.
Marcus's jaw tightened, his eyes fixed on the screen.
This smells like a cover-up. Black market biotech. Secret trials.
Then why the memory gaps?
Elena pressed.
And why so many? There are thousands stretching back decades. This is a system, not an experiment.
They agreed to investigate quietly, wary of drawing attention. Marcus tapped his contacts in the medical underground, while Elena scoured encrypted forums for clues. Their search led them to Samir Patel, a 34-year-old mechanic who'd vanished for 2 weeks and returned a month ago. They met him at a greasy diner on Seattle's outskirts, the air thick with the scent of fried oil and stale cigarettes. Samir sat across from them, his posture rigid, his eyes unnaturally bright, like polished glass catching light. He spoke politely, claiming his absence was due to a bad fever, but his story unraveled under scrutiny. His hands, once scarred from years of wrench work, were flawless, the skin smooth as porcelain. When Elena asked about medical exams, his smile twitched, and he stood abruptly, muttering about a headache.
He's not right.
Marcus said as they drove back, his knuckles white on the steering wheel.
Did you see his eyes? Too clear, too perfect. And his voice. It was like he was reciting lines.
Elena nodded, her stomach churning.
He's not the same person who disappeared.
The encounter fueled their resolve. They tracked down another returnee, a librarian named Claire Novak, who'd vanished for 3 weeks. Meeting her in a dimly lit cafe, Elena noticed the same eerie traits: luminous eyes, flawless skin, a mechanical calm. Claire claimed she'd been sick during her absence, but her answers were vague, rehearsed. When Marcus pressed her about hospitals or doctors, she froze, her hands trembling slightly before she excused herself and fled.
They're all like this.
Elena said later, her voice barely above a whisper.
It's not just their bodies. Something's been done to their minds.
Marcus nodded, his face grim.
Whatever's happening, it's not human. Not anymore.
The desert's secret. The disappearances formed a map, their locations scattered but deliberate. Abandoned warehouses, remote fields, decommissioned military sites. Elena and Marcus spent weeks cross-referencing the data, their nights blurred with coffee and paranoia. One site stood out: a derelict Air Force base in Nevada's Black Rock Desert, shrouded in rumors of covert experiments and strange lights in the sky. It was a dangerous lead, but the need for answers drowned out their fear. They arrived at the base at dawn, the desert stretching endlessly under a sky bruised with clouds. The facility was a graveyard of rusted steel and shattered concrete, its silence heavy as a held breath. They moved through empty hangars and decayed labs, their flashlights casting jagged shadows on peeling walls. Hours passed with no clues, the oppressive quiet fraying their nerves. Elena was about to suggest they leave when she felt it. A faint vibration, like a pulse, emanating from beneath a collapsed maintenance shaft.
Here.
She whispered, her heart pounding as they pried open a rusted hatch. A steel ladder descended into darkness, the air growing colder and sharper with each step. The tunnel below was a labyrinth of smooth metallic walls, the vibration now a low hum that set their teeth on edge. Condensation glistened, carrying a metallic tang that stung their throats. They moved cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the confined space. After what felt like miles, the tunnel widened, opening into a vast chamber, an alien cathedral of curved, glowing panels and sterile, bluish light. Rows of cylindrical pods lined the walls, hundreds of them, each containing a human suspended in shimmering, viscous fluid. Tubes snaked into their bodies, pulsing with faint light. Their faces were serene, almost angelic, but their eyes, half open and unseeing, radiated an eerie vacancy. The air was thick with the hum of unseen machinery, a sound that seemed to burrow into their bones. Elena stifled a gasp, her hand trembling as she approached a pod. The occupant, a young man, had skin so flawless it seemed artificial, his body radiating an unnatural vitality. Marcus grabbed her arm, his voice a hoarse whisper.
Elena, this isn't a lab. It's a slaughterhouse.
They moved deeper, their flashlights revealing more pods. Men, women, children, all suspended in the same eerie stasis. Some pods were empty, their interiors stained with faint reddish residue. Elena's stomach twisted as she realized what it might mean. Before they could retreat, a shadow shifted in the chamber's depths. A figure emerged, tall, humanoid, but grotesquely wrong. Its skin was translucent, veins glowing faintly beneath, pulsing with the sickly light. Its eyes, black voids that seemed to swallow the light, locked onto them. A second figure appeared, then a third, their movements eerily synchronized, like predators circling prey.
You are trespassers,
the first said, its voice a cold echo that reverberated in their skulls.
This place is forbidden to you.
The Keeper's truth. Elena's legs buckled, but she forced herself to stand, her breath shallow. Marcus tried to back away, only to freeze as the lead figure raised a slender, glinting device. An invisible force seized them, locking their muscles in excruciating paralysis. The air grew heavy, the hum intensifying until it felt like their bones might shatter.
What are you?
Elena rasped, her voice barely audible over the pounding in her ears.
We are the Keepers,
the figure replied, its voice slithering through their minds like oil.
You are the harvest.
Harvest?
Marcus choked, his face drained of color.
hell does that mean?
The keeper stepped closer, its eyes boring into them with an intensity that felt like a physical weight.
Your species is our creation. Millennia ago, we seeded your world, shaped your evolution, perfected your forms. You are sustenance, designed to nourish us.
Elena's mind reeled, fragments of her research snapping into place. The genetic irregularities, the transformed returnees, the missing who came back wrong.
You're eating us?
She whispered, nausea clawing at her throat.
Not as you consume.
The keeper said, its tone almost amused.
We feed on your essence, your vitality, your emotions, your potential. Your bodies are vessels, cultivated to produce the richest yield. Each cycle, we harvest, refine, and release you to ripen again. Your fear, your despair, your fleeting hopes, they are our delicacy.
Elena's vision blurred, her mind struggling to process the horror.
Why?
She demanded, her voice cracking.
Why do this to us?
The keeper tilted its head, its expression unreadable.
You are our orchard, and we are its tenders. Your existence serves us, as it always has.
Marcus trembled beside her, his voice raw.
You're monsters. You can't just...
We are not monsters.
The keeper interrupted, its voice sharp.
We are your purpose. Without us, you would not exist.
Elena's thoughts raced, grasping for defiance.
Why show us this? Why not kill us now?
The keeper's lips curled into a grotesque parody of a smile, revealing rows of needle-like teeth.
Your terror is exquisite. It seasons the yield, and you will forget, as all do, until we choose to reap you.
Marcus lunged, or tried to. The force tightened, pinning him mid-step, a strangled cry escaping his throat.
We'll stop you. We'll expose this.
The keeper's smile widened, unperturbed.
You will expose nothing. Your world is our garden, and you are its fruit. Your resistance only deepens the flavor.
Another keeper approached, its device glowing faintly. The chamber pulsed with a low, rhythmic hum, and Elena felt her thoughts fraying. Memories of her childhood, her work, the tunnel, began to dissolve, slipping through her grasp like sand. She clawed at them, desperate to hold on, but the keeper's presence was overwhelming, their will a tide she couldn't resist.
Please.
She whispered, tears streaming down her face.
Don't take this from us.
The lead keeper leaned closer, its breath cold against her skin.
Your pleas are sweet. They will sustain us well.
The endless orchard. The chamber erupted in a deafening hum, the air vibrating with an unnatural force. The keeper activated its device, and Elena's vision shattered. Her memories, her parents' faces, her first day in the lab, the base, crumbled like ash in a storm. Marcus's screams faded beside her, swallowed by an encroaching void. She fought to hold on to something, anything, but her mind was a sieve, leaking everything she was. She screamed, her voice a distant echo in the darkness. They awoke in their lab, 12 days later, surrounded by the familiar hum of equipment. Their notes on the anomalies were gone, their systems wiped clean. Colleagues greeted them warmly, oblivious to their absence, as if nothing had happened. Life resumed. Experiments, meetings, routine, but a shadow clung to Elena's thoughts, a nameless dread that gnawed at her sanity. Marcus changed. He grew quiet, his eyes haunted by something he couldn't name. When Elena pressed him, he shook his head, muttering about nightmares that slipped away upon waking. She tried to rebuild their research, but every lead evaporated. The missing persons cases vanished from records, as if they'd never existed. Samir Patel, when they tracked him down, smiled blankly and claimed he'd never met them. Claire Novak was gone, her cafe meeting a ghost in Elena's memory. Years passed. Elena's health flourished, her body stronger, her mind sharper than ever. She ran marathons, solved complex problems with ease, and yet the unease never left. She caught herself staring at her reflection, her flawless skin a mockery of the truth she'd lost. At night, she woke gasping, fragments of memory surfacing, the keeper's eyes, endless and cruel, the hum of the pods, the weight of an unseen harvest. She began to notice others, strangers on the street, colleagues, friends, whose eyes carried the same unnatural brightness, whose movements seemed too precise. The world spun on, its people thriving in their invisible cage, unaware of the orchard they sustained. Elena tried to speak out, to warn others, but her words were dismissed as paranoia, her research deemed fanciful. One evening, she stood at her apartment window, the city's glow a hollow comfort. The stars above seemed to pulse, watching her with an ancient, predatory patience. She pressed her hand to her chest, feeling the steady beat of her heart, and beneath it, a faint vibration, like the echo of a distant machine. Somewhere beyond the sky, the keepers waited, their garden ripening with every human breath. Elena, like all others, would never know when her time would come. But in her deepest moments of despair she felt it, the truth, buried and forgotten, whispering that she was nothing more than fruit, waiting to be plucked. The end.